spread one love, okay? Thanks for tuning in to us, the MNM Show.
MNM.
MNM.
Show.
Oh,
Hey.
and we're back for another fresh live episode of the MNM Show. What's up, DC? What's up, Molly?
Hey.
You're feeling it.
I had 3 margaritas tonight, and it's like more alcohol than I've drank in like a month.
That's
a lie.
exciting.
I was in Costa Rica a week ago drinking, but
Aha. I want to hear more about that. For our viewers today, we are going to be joined by voice later in the show.
Ooh.
By the ethereal, metaphysical J Mills.
metaphysical for real. She will only be in our atmosphere.
Metaphysical today.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, we'll be having DC's own Stuart Anderson join us.
What?
But for now, it's the Nikki and Molly Show.
I'm ready.
So you just got back from Costa Rica last week. What was going on there?
You know, Costa Rica's dope, man. It's super chill. It's very sleepy.
Yeah.
It
Good relaxing spot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of like not paved roads and everything's pretty chill. There's a lot less advertising. Although every bit of advertisement seems to be owned by Imperial, the beer company there, so I'm not really mad at that. But yeah, it's just a whole different way of life. You know, like I was traveling through a lot of up and down the west coast of Costa Rica. And, you know, we drove, and so we were going through a lot of different areas. And I noticed that, like, people in front of their houses have trash cans that are just like a metal pole with like a metal box. Almost looks like a crab catching thing, right? But it's just like a metal grate box on a pole. And those are people's trash cans. And you're driving through, and there might be like one little bag in there. And I thought to myself, you know, that's pretty smart to keep it exposed so it doesn't like rot in there and then animals can't get to it. So what a better way to deal with it. But what I really noticed is how little trash there was. Because
They're not as wasteful as Americans.
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
and they're not buying all this shit. They're growing it and catching it and cooking it and eating it. And they're not going, you know, everything that they're consuming isn't coming out of packaging. And so, in general, they just create a lot less trash.
That's awesome.
And that's just like one tiny little
Yeah.
observation that just
Yeah.
really made me think. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we got these, like,
awesome.
50-gallon trash
know.
cans and
We
shit
have-
for a week.
We
What?
create a lot of trash, and then we don't know what to do with it, and we have landfills, and stuff ends up in the ocean. And you know, I just got back from Cleveland myself. I was at a food justice conference with the Heal Food Alliance, which is the national organization that I work for. I'm basically a national organizer for food and farm justice, and HEAL stands for Health, Environment, Agriculture, and Labor. You know,
Nice.
and so we got to go to this super dope farm in the middle of Cleveland called Riddall Farm, and community farm, black run, operated, growing, you know, kale and onions and all kinds of cool stuff in the dead of winter in these hoop houses.
Nice.
Have an amazing, beautiful greenhouse. They have a tilapia farm there that they use like aquaponic systems with, and you know, everything's composted. They create their own fresh soil. Like, I learned so much.
That's awesome.
So you know, it's really awesome to hear about the lifestyle that you witnessed in Costa Rica, and know that there are also people within the United States who are actually trying to be, not trying, they are being wasting less, creating, sustaining for themselves. They're real models, you know, and it's just exciting. So over the years, I look forward to updating y'all with what's going on in the food justice movement in the United States. But that's where I just got back from.
That's super cool that you just came from Cleveland. Like,
Today.
I wouldn't have thought that would be like you know, where you were checking out like farming things.
Yeah.
You know, that if you had to say, if you were like, Molly, where in the United States do you think I just went to check out some farms?
Yeah.
Cleveland would not
Never.
have been on the list. Straight up.
Yeah. So, it's an example of urban farming. And, it's something
awesome.
that as we are have been facing food deserts in, underdeveloped, under-infrastructured, neglected neighborhoods throughout the country. It's really, really inspiring to see people taking their health, their jobs, their land back into their own hands and creating just, doing it for themselves, not relying on anyone else. It's really, really a beautiful thing.
Well, and I'm like, my first introduction to like super, super healthy, like real ass clean living, raw foods, like has been in the Black community.
Yeah, we do it up. There's a lot of like here in DC too. There's just so many awesome options and varieties you can go to that, you don't necessarily find in other places.
And even when there wasn't, there was, Kepras. I mean, there's some people, Kepra when he's at Sembeb's, you know what I mean? Many years ago.
I love Senbeb. I live around the corner from Senbeb.
Exactly. And so it's like, a lot of history there where in other communities it's like it's like a fad, like juicing or smoothies or whatever. But like the real like holistic clean living manifest I've only really seen in urban communities. So I feel like it's really fitting. Although there's like obviously there's a gap there because like not everybody has access to those things.
Right.
But the conversation for me, it was always like originated there.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense that there's urban
Cleveland.
gardens.
Yeah, we were in Cleveland, and this farm actually, this urban farm was modeled after these other folks that did this in Chicago, also in the South Side of Chicago. So, but that is to say, like HEAL, the organization I work for now, we work with urban farmers across the country, but also small rural farmers, and so. I'm just learning so much about how food is produced, procured, the labor behind it, how it's, man, I'm just learning so much. I don't want to I will talk the whole show about what I learned about.
I mean, that's cool, shit, ain't nobody else here, Nikki, so you might as well get it in, girl.
Yeah, well, but no, I want to save it for another time because there's exciting things going on here in DC, and this is the DC show, not the National Nikki show. So
that's next season, right?
Yeah, that's next season.
The National Nikki show. I'll do your theme song.
Great. Just like we did our
because we know how well it works out. Show. I was thinking about that today. Every time I hear our theme song, I'm like, oh, I cringe a little bit. But now we have a new one. Funny. Is that our new one?
No. So for
shout out 06 Chris.
For quite a while now. Yes, shout out 06 Chris. For quite a while now, I've been posting generally on Instagram these little snippets for each different week, and I always change up the song. Oh. So we've had a wide variety.
Oh. Oh man, I need to pay more attention
to your Instagram feed. Anyway, follow us on Instagram at MNM Show. One Love. That's MNM Show. One Love on Instagram, and you can see what Molly is talking about. Our cool graphics and pictures and whatnot. So, Molly.
Yes,
you're running for at-large committee woman of the DC Democratic State Committee.
Yes.
How's that been going for you so far?
It's pretty good. I'm running. I'm running as fast as I can. No, it's I'm learning a lot, and that's really all I wanted to do was like take a seat at the table and learn and like not fuck anything up. I mean, you can't just jump into politics and be like, let me tell you, I don't fucking know what's going on, man.
You do know what's going on, though.
I mean, I know what's going on, but I don't know what's going on,
Yeah, you gotta learn. And I feel like I'm ready to say something. I'm gonna jump in there and be saying a whole lot of stuff because
Hell yeah. Well, you've earned it, dude. You've earned it. You've been in civil service. You've been doing this a long time. My civil service is different. It's like, community based. It's very, very, is very narrow. And so you've earned that right to have an opinion. I just want to be a team player, and I just want to learn and help where I can. And so far it's been very reassuring. I'm running on this slate with you, as you know, the Dump Trump Dems for Action slate.
We need
Holla. Oh, there's your man.
So bad.
There's your man. So Dump Trump Dems for Action. It's a slate that we're running on. It's kind of exciting for those of you who are like me who don't know what any of that means. There's a slate of people running together. So basically we have pooled our intentions and our marketing dollars and our overall campaign message, right? And there's 40 positions in the Democratic State Party. And there's 40 of us running for all 40 of those positions. So take over like shit. So I'm about that life, whether we win or not. I think it's awesome to challenge that. And I'm running with other people in Ward 5, including Jay Mills, who's not here at the moment. Jesus Christ. Fucking Margaritaville. And an awesome dude named Gordon Andrew Fletcher. Super cool. He's a ANC guy. I'm sorry, I always get it wrong which one he is, but he's an ANC.
He's an ANC.
And then Walter DeLeon is super cool kid, 22 years old, already all in there with multiple years of experience. And Andrew Wicks, super awesome woman resident. We're all Ward 5 residents. And it's just really cool to get to know people. I got to hear the Attorney General speak at a Ward 5 Democratic meeting a couple weeks ago. Carl Racine. And I just want to say this. So I don't know much about politics at all. I really don't. And the attorney. There's very few things I care about. It's people and weed. Just a plot twist. And Carl Racine the other week at the meeting, he said that. How you doing? You can go ahead and sit down. They'll get the camera set up on you and get you all set. But Carl Racine was in this meeting, and a gentleman asked him, "Hey, are you gonna make weed illegal? I can't even take my grandkids to the community center without smelling weed." And he very eloquently explained that they were not, because the racial disparity in the arrest records between black marijuana users and white marijuana users. And then he also explained that people that have prescriptions who live in public housing are not able to smoke inside their home. They're forced to go outside their home to smoke, and it puts it on the streets. And so that the bigger issue, while he understood the gentleman's concern, was making sure that the laws were fairly adjusted for everybody so that people could medicate according to the law. And I was so excited to hear an attorney general say that. Yeah. I feel like that's something that you would hear a weed activist say. That's something that you would hear from the people, but not necessarily from the people enforcing the law. And so that made me very reassured that we're in good hands. You know what I mean? At least in regards to weed. So, and I know that is a very, very narrow perspective, but God damn it, it matters to me. And so it was really nice to hear him speak on that. And so I got to meet him last night. And, it's kind of cool to just get to know just to see who these people are and humanize them a little bit more, whether you agree or disagree with them. I think it's really important to know who's representing you locally.
Absolutely.
And it's very intimidating if you're not somebody that's into politics. But then when you're all in like I am, you realize it's just some people in a bar just trying to find a commonality and make some positive change as well. So, long story short, it's really cool to be a part of all of it and learn and,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're running with us. I knew, I ran for the same position 4 years ago and lost by very few votes. And that was my first time. And my intention then was really just to learn the process and, because I knew in my mind that it's important for young people, for Black people, for immigrants, it's important for us to be at the table and it's important for us to run. And so I'm someone that believes in, I I'm a visual learner. I gotta do it myself in order to be able to teach other people how to do it. And so that was really my intention that time. I didn't care if I won or if I lost that time. Some other people that I knew and trusted, shout out Angela Peoples and Greg Sandana, asked me to run for this position. And I was kind of skeptical. I was like, I'm busy. I got work to do. I'm trying to run these 2 different campaigns on like minimum wage and wage theft prevention at the time. I was like, I'm really busy. You know that story. And also I don't want to just run, just to run. Like if I'm not using it as a platform to uplift working class and poor people and Black people's issues in this city, then it's of no use to me. Right. And they assured me that this was an opportunity to do that, and it was. And so I ran and I learned a lot, and then 4 years later, it's time to run again. But this time I want to win. I'm like,
yeah, I want you to win too, Nikki.
That's right.
And
I even got some signatures for you last night. Almost 20 of them.
Thank you.
I don't feel too bad then, because that's about what I have, about 20 for Nikki and Marcus.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think it's phenomenal that we put together a progressive platform. I like the team. It's a fully encompassing team. I didn't know you ran 4 years ago, though, Nikki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the same position I'm about to lose for him. Imagine.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm going to give him a run. I'm going to hit him with the Instagram campaign. They can't see.
Well, I think
we didn't do all that. We didn't have that last time.
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff at our disposal.
Yeah.
Right? We can leverage the social media piece, and I don't know if you ran with a slate before.
I did. It was the rent is too darn high.
Oh, the rent is too.
You remember?
Oh, I do remember. I didn't know you were on that though.
Yes.
I didn't. You ain't tell me. So that's why see.
I think that's how I got connected
we don't
with you.
tell people, right? We don't take it serious. I had a conversation with Philip Pennell, somebody else who's on the slate with us earlier today, and he was having a tantrum a bit, because the at-large team has not been as serious as he think the team should be. And I said, all things in due time.
Right.
We got time. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater
Not
yet.
Not yet.
I think that the team
It's all coming together.
That's
right
it.
now.
Wait, are you on this at-large petition with me as well?
No. I'm actually a committee man for Ward 8.
Ward 8?
Yeah, you got Ward 8.
Shit. Okay, word.
So actually, Stuart
Let's
Anderson,
talk about this. Yes.
welcome to the MNM Show.
Hey.
Okay.
Stuart, would you like
We're
a bottle of
excited to
water?
have you.
Sure. I definitely could use a bottle of water, because in my other life, right, I'm this home improvement specialist, and so I was in the zone and forgot all about I'm supposed to be here. So the first thing I want to do is say I apologize to the team and to my co-host.
We're happy to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad that I can make
you
it.
You just slid on in. You're like, hey, and what I think about it is, it was nice.
Nice. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's phenomenal when grassroots organizers come together and get involved in the political process. It's one of the things, I don't know if Nikki has talked about being involved in BOLD, but it's one of the things that we've been talking about inside of BOLD. That's another organization that we function with.
Oh, what's that? Can you tell us about that?
BOLD is Black Organizers for Leadership and Dignity.
Oh, word. I like the sound of
yeah.
that. I like both these acronyms, HEAL and BOLD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boldly healing.
Yes.
That's a lot of what BOLD is about. It's about self-healing, somatic training, and things of that nature. But one of my and Nikki may not know this, but one of my very first tasks with BOLD was a Get Out the Vote campaign.
Nice.
When I was in the Amadla program. And so I had a wonderful trainer, who came from North Carolina and helped me learn some stuff about the van and stuff like that. And it set me up for becoming Trayon White's campaign manager.
Oh, I like him.
So all things are possible. And that's what I like to say to the listening audience is that Nikki talked about, I don't have time. none of us have time. You make time.
Make
Well, we
time.
make
You
time.
make time for the things that matter for
Yes.
you the most. And so the next thing people talk, well, I don't have the funding, I don't have the money, I don't have the backing.
Just
And
do it.
so you just got to step out on faith
Yeah.
and do the incremental stuff, build a team, and move the team forward.
Right.
And even when you don't have the type of capital that other machines have, because what we're doing is we're building a machine.
Right.
We're building a machine that has tentacles all across the city to bring about some substantive change. I don't know if y'all talked about what the state committee is all about.
No,
but
we have not.
The state committee is a committee of Democrats that have a job to do. And so there are 4 basic pillars to that job. And one of the pillars to that job is to get people involved in the process, to engage the populace. That's one of the jobs of, and I don't think that the current members of the state committee has done a great job at that.
Well, maybe
Just
when they
bringing-
update the website in like another 4 years.
Well, no,
You know?
they won't be updating the website in 4 years.
We will.
We're gonna,
That's right.
We're going to be building something
In 4
definitely
months.
new in a couple months.
Right.
The next thing that they should be doing, so engagement is one thing. The other thing is educating the populace, not just Democrats, but the populace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The goal of the Democratic State Committee is to bring people into the committee, to engage those individuals on a regular basis, to educate them on the platform that the committee members come together and set, which should be based upon what the people in the community want and need. And then the next thing that the state committee should be doing
It's supposed to do.
that they supposed to do. This is in the charter. This is not some Stuism,
not,
right?
yeah,
I'm not giving you Stuism. I'm talking about the charter. There's a charter that says, here's what the Democratic State Committee stands for, and here are our duties and obligations. And among those obligations is engaging Democrats and the populace, drawing people in, gathering them in, having educational forums and seminars, and then to be promoting candidates across, not just in your locality. You're in a state committee.
Right.
You're in a different category than a city council member or something like
Right.
that. You need to be, we need to be, our state committee needs to be, and I don't think the ones that we have right now have been doing a great job of saying, here are some national players that we support, and we're gonna come down there and knock doors for you, or we're gonna
Right.
we're gonna phone bank for you. And those are things like phone banking. We could do that from right here for somebody
Right.
anywhere in the country. And why would somebody in D.C. want to do something like that? And I hate to really dominate, but I want to drive this idea home, right? Why is somebody in D.C.? Because we don't have statehood. So the people that we promote across the
Right.
country got to be people who's talking about, I agree with statehood for D.C. You don't agree with statehood for D.C., then our state committee should not be, taking pictures with you and hugging and kissing and all of that.
Right.
If you're not for statehood for D.C., we should not be entertaining you. We should be talking about the person who is for statehood. Even if they're not actively moving it, they're for it.
Right.
And then we got to push them into actively moving it.
Well, I want to take it back a little bit before we get too much into state committee, statehood. This show is also about people getting to know who we are
There you go.
so that they know who they're voting for, not just what we stand for. I think it's important for people to get to know who we are. So, Stuart, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
Okay.
What's your story?
Who are you?
So basically, my name is Stuart Anderson, and that's Stuart, S-T-U-A-R-T. I'm a native Washingtonian.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? You got to knock wood for that,
Hey, slaps.
I am the father of 4 beautiful young ladies, and they're all grown and think they my mother. 3 of them live here in the city. The other one is
right.
currently up in New Jersey with her mother. I'm an activist. I started off as a prison activist in prison, and that activism has carried me into the political arena. I'm the executive director of something called Family and Friends of Incarcerated People. And that organization is an organization that was born inside of prison. And it was a fatherhood initiative. And today it serves the families and children of those who are incarcerated.
That's awesome.
You know, I'm a 4-time graduate of the University of the District of Columbia, and I'm proud about that. You knock wood for that as well. You know, most of my academic excellency has come by way of UDC. Even though I've taken some courses from Howard and some courses from Georgetown, I'm proud to say I'm a Firebird. You know, people always say, "Where you from?" I say, "I'm from D.C." No, what part of D.C.? What section? Where you? You know, and so I truly am from the city. You know, so I have roots in every quarter. I went to 3 different elementary schools, 2 different middle schools, junior high schools, 2 different high schools. So, and all of them are scattered all over the city. And so that has to do with being someone who was raised by a single mother, who didn't have the best of things to offer to her children. She gave us the best that she had, and we love her for that. She did a wonderful job with laying a foundation that has sprouted into what I am today. But by virtue of the life that we were living and being less privileged, we moved around a lot. I know what it's like to be evicted. You know, it's important for people who say they're doing housing for all or moderate income housing to have a sense of that.
To know what it's like to not have any housing.
To know what it's like not to have any housing. And so I come from that and I understand that. And so one of the things that I learned in the process, and I learned it from a guy named Roach Brown, is that, you know, through your pain, you can begin to heal and help people. By helping people, you begin to heal yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I work with pretty much everybody in this city. I've worked for Empower DC on the housing campaign, the education campaign.
Nice.
I work with a number of different organizations today. I am currently the community engagement specialist for the Anacostia Coordinating Council.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm also the logistics coordinator for the annual Martin Luther King Parade. And I can, you know, I'm working on Malcolm X now. It's you know, so I'm doing a lot of different things because I love the city and I love what our icons laid for us, Malcolm and Martin, and I can talk about some other cats who I pay homage to, but those are the 2 who I'm actively currently trying to do some stuff in this city right now for. We're going to do a phenomenal piece on 4/4/18. That's April 4th. It's all about the assassination of Dr. King. So we're going to be doing something phenomenal over in Southeast around that. I want to do something about March 26th where Malcolm and Martin meet. It's the only time, the one and only time that they ever had a chance to meet. So I'm working with a team of people. It's not just students.
What's the date on that?
So we're working on doing something for March 26th.
March 26th.
And so we're wrestling with that piece there, right? We're wrestling with that piece to bring that to fruition. There is a play that some people have done. I've never seen the play, but I've been talking to people about it. And so we're working, and I'm talking to Denise Rolock Bonds from the Washingtonian Informers, and I've been talking to Monica Ray also about it, as well as a number of other people, just about how do we do something around that particular day to highlight the fact that these 2 great icons who ultimately were assassinated were coming together on a specific agenda, and that was to look at the economics that was happening in this country.
Whoa, now it's too much power, too much Black awareness.
That's awesome. Well, can you let me know whatever you guys do so we can push that out on One Love Massive, because we would like to do that.
Definitely, we can do that. Anybody who's out there listening who wants to chime in, you can hit me up, SW Anderson 6711 @gmail.com. shoot me an email. I'll just send all the dates out, all the information, when the planning meetings are, because it's important for people to be able to be in the process and help to shape and direct this stuff. The other big thing is Malcolm X Day. We used to celebrate Malcolm X every year in Anacostia Park. And so there is a effort of resurgence right now with that, where a group of individuals, some of the people who historically were involved in that, about trying to, lift up Malcolm on May 19th or the 20th. His birthday's the 19th. Traditionally, it's been done on a Sunday. And so, depending on availability, we're wrestling, trying to find a venue right now. We're going to honor Malcolm in some kind of way, though, so you can mark the calendar for that. But yeah, definitely all those things that I have my hand in are things that I've been drawn into because of my work with FFOIP. That's my passion. If I could get away with not working and just doing that, that's what I would do all the time, is just help the children and the families of those who are incarcerated. Mass incarceration has devastated this country. It has devastated the brown community, and it has dramatically affected the black community in so many ways. And so I just try to deal with the collateral damage and I'm like a triage guy, putting a Band-Aid on it, but I'm trying to do it.
Where can people find more information about family and friends of incarcerated people?
Okay, so currently, when you called and I realized that I fumbled the ball, I noticed that a whole bunch of people called me, and one of the persons who called me was our graphic designer who's working on redeveloping the website. So the website will be back up. It'll be FFOIPinfo.org.
We'll put that on our website too.
If you go to Facebook, we have an active fan page, FFOIP. If you go on YouTube, you can actually see some of what we do with the young people in an effort of steering them away from prison. The ultimate reason why FFOIP exists is to fight intergenerational incarceration. In short, what that means is, man, we just try and keep black folk from going to jail. That's it.
So what are some of the strategies that y'all are using to achieve that here locally?
Okay. So locally, we have workshops and seminars where we work with the youth. And so if you go on YouTube and you go FFOIP, you will get a whole list of different things. So you'll see a video clip on here about You Have a Father. That's a conversation with a group of our children that we've been working with, answering a question. And so some of them on there, as a result of their parents going back and forth to prison and being in prison, it's like, I don't have no father because when he come home, he don't do this, he don't do that. And then the other children, we utilize what we call peer development as a tool to get our young people on a good track. Notice I didn't say the right track, on a good track, right? And so by leveraging the knowledge base and the information within their peer group, they are able to, at least, if they don't get a positive direction, they at least learn. If we got 15 of them in the session, they learn 14 ways of how not to do something.
Yeah,
they don't learn it from me. I'm just the guy that create the space. They learn it from each other, and that's the key.
That's what
to what
makes
we do.
it stick, because they're not gonna listen to.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we do is we do these sessions. We try to film them so that we can share them with other groups that are similar to ours across the country. We also do this visitation piece. DC is unique in a lot of ways, and because of the National Revitalization Act, something that in 2018 is going to be the focus of all of our community conversations. So we host 3 or 4 community conversations. We try to put a lot of energy into them so that we can educate people about what's happening currently with mass incarceration and how it's affecting us.
Because I don't think people understand.
Don't really know.
I have a very, very, narrow scope, but I was with somebody who was incarcerated for 10 years and then ended up going back in. And so I got like a small taste of what it's like to love somebody who's incarcerated.
Yes.
And it was, it made me hate this country.
Yeah.
You know, like everything is so backwards, and like from like an environmental standpoint, like prisons are not like updated on any level. From a, you know, I mean that's like the lowest, right? Like like, you know, factor, right? Just like, even if you don't give a shit about people and you only care about animals and trees, you should hate prisons. Like if you care about the family structure, you should hate prisons.
That's right.
If you care about like the inequality of the distribution of wealth, you should hate prisons.
That's
like
right.
do you know that right now, if you have somebody who you love in prison and they're more than 10 miles away from you, even if they're in the same state, you have to pay like $2.95 a minute to talk to them. Right now,
That's
in
outrageous.
2018, you have to pay some odd dollars and some odd cents a minute to speak to somebody you love who's in the same fucking state as you.
That's like crazy.
Right? Like to love somebody who's unable to defend themselves, or who's, you know, it is the most dehumanizing, unfair, heartbreaking, horrible shit in the fucking world. And I can't even fathom what it would be like to have a father or a mother you know, in that system. And it's just
it's messed up. And let me tell you,
so
folks,
bad. It's so bad.
the system is like totally rigged against poor and especially black people. So I was just at this conference this past weekend in Cleveland for the Heal Food Alliance, #HealFood. Check out my Instagram photos I posted. And, you know, the organization is about the transformation of food and farm systems, but you can't really talk about the transformation of food and farm systems without talking about abolishing prisons. And so, you know, I was a part of a breakout session where we were going over just kind of like the history of the prison industrial complex, and it has in the United States, it has its roots directly in plantation slave labor. In fact, there is, I'm sure you know of it, Angola plantation in Louisiana.
Yes.
That is now Louisiana State Penitentiary.
Yes.
So
Jesus
like,
Christ.
you know, and when you look at prisons, a lot of them are far out, isolated in rural places, and it's still the plantation setup.
For sure.
And so after slavery was abolished in, what was that, 1865?
Yes.
Then you have the creation of kind of like state militia, state polices, and the development of the Mississippi Black Codes, where black people, you know, the amendment may say slavery is done, but it says except in the case of if you commit a crime. And so then that was the loophole, right? And that still exists today. So there's a loophole basically saying that slavery is still legal in the United States right now if you commit a crime. And so after the abolition of slavery, you have the development of things like the Mississippi Black Codes, where people could get arrested for things such as idle behavior, laziness, joblessness, you know, and
voting.
You know, and so you just start having the chain gangs and stuff, and you know, it's just like it has grown and grown and grown into this massive profit seeking, controlling, just oppressive system where the United States now has more people incarcerated, and the rates like skyrocketed in like the 1980s. You know, it's crazy.
You know,
man.
Hey, look, I was gonna just, you know, that's my forte. So I can
I can actually
tell you some stuff. So let me say this right. Number one is this. First and foremost, you're exactly right. End of slavery, we get the Pinkertons, you know, they evolve out of these are slave chasers. There's a whole class of poor Southern white folk who are commissioned to go and bring back slaves. The slave run off, that's what they did to create this separation. one of the things that you can do, and I challenge people to do this, one of the things I do daily is I get on Instagram sometime during the course of the day, and I say something about something that is important, I think, and then I say, if you don't believe me, Google it. So Google this, right? Every president, and I'm still looking through footage on Obama, but every president back to Nixon says that he is either the law and order candidate or he or she, during their campaigns, that they're the law and order candidate, or once they've become the president, they're going to bring law and order back to America. Or they're going to do as number 45, and I'm not going to say his name because I tried not to, even though it's the name of our slate, right? I just tried not to say his name.
I've said his name more in the last 2 weeks than I have my whole life.
But he, he wants to make America greater again. The key word is again, and the law and order back.
Right.
The key words is back and again. We got to listen to those words. But the thing that I'm pointing out is that all of them continued this process of mass incarceration. Nixon coined the term.
Law and
right?
order. The control
the Bushes,
suppression of poor
the Bushes
people.
pushed it along. And if we look at the numbers, we had 500-something million people. Then we went up some more, and then we doubled, then we tripled, and then we got Ronald Reagan, right? Ronald Reagan tripled everything. Then after Ronald, we get the Clintons. The Clintons did this. Everybody want to love the Clintons. We want to love the Clintons, right? But the Clintons also, when you look at the footage, you can find it.
The numbers
they are the law and order candidates. They are
that was
all
the mandatory minimums era.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the mandatory minimum. So
and over like
3
dumb
strikes
shit
you
too,
out.
and young people.
And so Reagan is one of the favorite things under the Reagan era, Reaganomics and all of that is the disparity between coke, powder, and crack. But how in the world you gonna charge me for more for the diluted thing than you are for the raw thing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why do that?
So,
you do that because you know that crack is being proliferated in depressed communities, and that cocaine is in the affluent communities.
And there's a similarity too, because with these crazy laws with weight and stuff, because it's the same thing with LSD. And hear me out there, they charge you by weight. And so if you have a sheet of paper, it could have 100 hits on it, and they're gonna charge you one thing. But if you have a sugar cube, you're gonna get charged
because it's heavier.
Because it's heavier, right? But the message is not, put your acid on paper. The message is the government doesn't want you doing anything to enlighten the people, to make them start wondering why the fuck everything is so fucked up. And so they're going to scare the shit out of you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To keep you out of the norm, destroying yourself just enough. Numb yourself just enough to continue to go to work every day. But don't enlighten yourself enough to realize that you shouldn't be going to work every day. You know what I mean?
I brought those dudes out, right? Them past presidents out in our current cat, right? Because of one thing. When we get a clear understanding, all this stuff ties together so beautifully, right? The meeting of Malcolm and Martin was about a conversation around economics and addressing the disparity as it relates to economics. Slavery was about economics. It was about making money. It was about being king of cotton and stuff like that, right? And so today, prison
It's about making
money. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
you can't go to prison in certain states, right? You got to pay for your bed.
Right.
I'm going to pay for a bed and I'm the prisoner. You got to pay for them high phone bills.
Right.
You got to pay for... You might have to
You gotta
do
pay. You gotta pay to send an email. I got a buddy locked up right now. He has to pay $1.95 or some shit for like 6 stamps.
And
Son,
he probably makes 70 cents a day.
You don't need stamps on the fucking internet. It's email. You don't need a stamp. But I gotta pay for stamps to be able to message him and prepay for the stamps for him to message me back so he can send an email.
You know?
Yeah.
And you
An
know,
email.
a lot of people don't realize just how close they are to the prison industrial complex. We
Yeah.
think, oh, it's some prison over there.
It has
But
nothing to do
no,
with me.
it touches a lot of
Everything.
aspects of our lives. You know, some of the
Mm-hmm.
cups you use or buy,
The plate.
coffee that you drink, the food that you eat from the grocery stores. A lot of that is grown by exploited prison labor. And so some people are like, oh, well, they're prisoners. They deserve to be exploited. Well, you have to remember that the system is rigged against poor and brown people. And it is
And
based in slavery. But if you are poor, if you're brown, you're an immigrant, the system is set up there for you to take your ass too.
And if you
You know?
privileged, let me say this too, right? If you privileged, you going to get on an airplane one day. They make the parts to the airplane.
Right.
You know, it touches every aspect of our lives, really. And so, you know,
Well, and because no one's really
I say down with the system.
No one's-
Abolition.
Exactly. No one's immune because the system is designed to benefit and to profit when we fail. All systems, mortgages. If they loan you the money, they make more money if you default on your mortgage than if you pay it on time. And
not
it's
for the
front loaded
people.
interest. It's already a fucking scam.
Damn right.
You know how many a car, if you have a car in the system that gets repossessed and it gets financed by one of these like subprime lending things, average car in that system will get repossessed and refinanced 4, 5, 6 times. A fucking Toyota Corolla can generate $60,000 worth of money and debt off of like poor people because of that system. Every system that we are all a part of is designed to benefit when we fail. Every single one of them. There's somebody getting rich off of every single one of our collective tragedies.
And this is why I'm
Literally.
excited that the three of us are running together, because there's a collective sense of values that people are more important than profits.
Yes.
And this is why our slate is called Dump Trump, Dems for Action. It's not just about dumping Donald Trump, it is, but it's about dumping the values that represent corporate profits
Yes.
are more important than people. So for example, this is the latest thing I'm furious about is this rollback. I mean, first of all, he's not even doing shit really important about gun control in this country and gun violence. But the one tiny little thing that he said he might do, which is increase the buying age to 21 from fucking 18 in this country.
He changed his mind.
He changed his mind after he met with some lobbyists with the NRA. And so now that's not happening. And he's supporting teachers getting guns
In a classroom.
In the
That's crazy.
classroom. And so I'm like, okay, you're going to get guns in all the public and private and charter schools across the nation, and you're going to train these people how to appropriately handle guns when we can't even fucking do that. I'm sorry, pardon my language, for the own police who have like training. Get the fuck out of
Reagan
here.
was shot. He had like
so-
7.
Now we,
Get
you know.
out
now we
of
go.
here.
Now we gonna train teachers.
And-
Man, they need to learn how to teach.
But it's not even that. You know what's gonna happen? Teachers aren't gonna do that, man. Teachers,
I know. A
But-
teacher
but
in
do that.
Georgia
They're
already
all gonna
shot his
quit.
gun. A teacher in Georgia already shot his gun off through the window, locked his students out of his classroom, and shot a gun through the window out into the open air. Could have hit somebody. So already that kind of shit is like going down, and people are emboldened.
Okay, so silver lining. I'm a silver lining.
I'm
this
so
shit.
angry.
Oh my goodness!
I'm a silver lining.
It's a silver lining in this. I'm just saying.
This is the silver lining, is that people are going to be, this shit is fucking ridiculous, and they're going to take their kids out of school, and everybody's going to take the fucking power back. The only good thing about Trump being in office is it's gotten to the point that people realize that stop being so fucking comfortable because the building is on fire,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
got to do something. And, you know, maybe every teacher will quit, and every parent will pull their child out of school, and they'll actually have to talk to their children again. They'll actually have to spend time with their children and raise their children and
But-
shit, and not
so
lean
we
on the
should,
school.
we should
And
pay
the-
less taxes,
and the-
though. We
and
should
the whole-
pay less
you know what?
taxes.
And the whole system will get burnt down. It'll get blown up and burnt down, and we're going to have to recreate a society altogether. It's going to be fucked up. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, the way that the path that we have been on.
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing
trying
at
to
the
silver
situation.
lining
right?
because
I
it's
know you're
so
trying, and I
bleak.
see that, but I
It's
mean,
so
I just
bleak.
like.
You just painted another bleak picture.
No,
I was like, everything's gonna burn.
but at least we're like resistance, like together, instead of just all fighting against each other, right? Because when the shit hits the fan, nobody really gives a fuck about any of that other dumb shit.
We all at the bottom of that pyramid. It's like 1% of them people up there that's getting all this money.
But here's the thing. There's 99% of us. And the second that we realize that we outnumber them by 99%,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? When we all stop and go, wait.
See, but they got they got a bunch of us in the middle, right? They got a bunch of us in the middle, right? That's like 20% of us, right? That work for that 1%, right? And so they don't realize they in the boat with us.
Yeah.
Right? And so then they convince, another 15%, and then it just looks really ugly. We just got to do something with the whole pyramid.
And here's the thing, too.
Shake it all.
A lot of people that could be directly involved with movement work, taking back power, are incarcerated.
Yes.
Or are
On
scared
purpose.
for their lives that they're going to be deported, or have diabetes and heart disease and all kinds of other shit because of the terrible diets that corporate America feeds us. And so people aren't. I'm talking about it.
Look at Pussy Riot. You heard about that? Like 2 members of the band Pussy Riot. They're like a rock band from Russia. It's all women, and they dance with their shirts off, and they just sing about like revolution, and it's fucking rock and roll, like freedom of expression, right?
I don't know
They
them.
fucking
Shout out.
you don't know them? Oh yeah, Pussy Riot. They're setting the shit out of a whole fucking other part of the world. You know, how dare they walk around with no shirts on, saying the word pussy out loud? Like Jesus fucking Christ, right? People are losing their goddamn minds. Two of the police harassed them constantly. They caught them on mid-travel, whatever, because they just done a show, destroyed all their cell phones and laptops, and 2 of the band members went missing for like 2 days. They were detained by like Crimea, like whoever the fuck, and like questioned and abused and tortured and whatever, and then let back go. These are just women running around without their shirts on, singing fucking rock and roll. It's 2018, and there are governments like kidnapping and suppressing and beating and killing people over that. Like, we are not out of the woods, man.
That's it.
Like we are no like,
and that's exactly why we gotta have progressive thinking individuals on not liberals. You know what I'm saying? We gotta have some real radical thinking individuals.
It's time for some changes, because the Democrats in this city are not taking direct accountable steps to getting corporate greed out of the Democratic Party's values.
Well, not just we have to get big money out of politics, period. Not just out of the Democratic enclave. We gotta get.
I don't know if there's any hope for Republicans.
So that's what we gotta do. We gotta make sure that we get the right people in office so that we can get the right pieces of legislation that bars all of this outrageous money being dumped into the system. To make sure that people on the bottom have a fair shake in the political process. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because as long as that money is there, even though our team that was very successful in ushering in a Trayon White, it was a Herculean feat. Yeah, and we were in
against the green machine.
We went against the machine and all the money, and yes, we beat them.
Shout out to Skeletor.
But yes, you did.
Because she also is approving like some huge ass tax cut. Like, oh my god, like.
Dude, can we talk about Sorsum Corda? You heard about that, right?
Is it being scheduled to be redeveloped for some rich people?
The Toll Brothers bought it for $60 million.
Yeah, it's big. But
the city gave them 2 vacant adjacent lots. But that's part of the deal.
That's the part I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about the fact that they spent 60. I want to talk about the fact that why you give them the 2 lots. It's just like the action that took place over in Southeast last week, where
she can find all these
construction
ways to
company was shut down.
Because Trayvon was part of that, right?
Yeah. And so, but look, I mean, why would you give a developer all that land the big they uprooted 2 landmarks. They dug them up. They spent X amount of dollars relocating these 2 buildings that have historical relevance. Which I'm not mad because they did that. They saved the building. I'm upset that you took all that property and you sold it to somebody for about $1. That's like the Big K liquor store and all of that, the whole land, all of that. Somebody just, and so. Their trade-offs, I don't know what they are.
I feel betrayed by
They said because the trade-off is, this is what I keep hearing people say, but they're building affordable housing. What's affordable? What's affordable? You're going to keep me locked into an AMI which says affordability is like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. And there are 70,000 some odd people in Ward 8. And of those people, there's a very small percentage that make $70,000.
Yeah, so like Sorsum Corda, it's 1,100 units, so it's 199 now, and it's gonna be 1,100, and 199 are put aside for affordable housing, and 138 of those units are being set aside for current residents.
Okay.
However, what is that? What do they gotta pay?
That sounds good, but what do they gotta pay? You're right.
What do they gotta pay?
What is the?
Are they paying what they were paying?
Yeah. Now that'd be great. That'd be great if I pay what I'm paying now. Maybe.
I don't think that sounds good at all. You said there's 11,000 units?
No, there's going to be. Currently, there's only 199, and I think only 138 are currently occupied at all.
And so they're going up.
Okay.
So it's going to be more. But, I mean, it sounds, it sounds nice.
Do people get to live there while they're redeveloping
Oh, God,
it?
Probably not. Who knows? Right. That's what I'm saying. It sounds nice on the outside, but I'm sure there's a lot more to unpack. There's no way
Y'all want to talk about the water?
Do we?
Man. Can I, real quick before we jump off of Sorsum Corda, did you know that Sorsum Corda, you know what that means in Latin?
No.
Uplifting hearts.
Oh, wow.
Uplifting hearts. I never knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
either.
so I just wanted to end with that because I thought it was kind of sweet,
All
especially
right.
since
I'm gonna share that with some
especially
people.
since that
Next time I gotta jump out my car and stop a fight.
Right, Sorsum Corda, motherfucker. but especially for a community that was so. I'm sorry, I was out of line for that. But
no. Look, that's what they'll probably say to me. Man, get in your car, man. You ain't got nothing to fucking do with this.
Right? Sorsum Corda. Uplift your heart. But I thought that was, especially because it was such a community blighted by such violent crime for so many decades. They went through it living there. So I thought it was really interesting to know that that's what it was named after. It's kind of interesting. I wonder what that community started as, or whoever built it, what they were thinking. Because you don't just name a community. Oh, you know what I mean? There's some, So I want to believe them. I want to hope in my heart that those people will get to be able to stay in the nice new places. But I know in my heart that that's probably not how it's going to be.
They're going to be priced out and everything. You know how gentrification goes. We're going to lie to you and all of that and promise you everything. And then once it's built, this is what it goes.
Get the fuck out. What did the mayor say last week? Well, if they can't afford to live here.
Hey.
Don't bring up Skeletor again. So... We
need a Skeletor graphic, Nick. We need to put that on the MNM digital assets list, show specific. Skeletor.
And I call her Skeletor because, I feel like she is cold and heartless, just a skeletal
just tell us how you really feel
sometimes. I mean, I've been watching this woman for the last 10 years, vote against and not in favor of economic initiatives and housing things that will actually do something and help people. She's very conservative when it comes to workers' rights issues and poverty issues. She's totally in the pockets of developers, and it just makes me feel betrayed. And so the reason that I'm also excited that all of us are running and other folks on the Dump Trump Dems for Action slate is because, the issues that we've been talking about tonight on the show, prison, industrial complex, affordable housing, policing, these are not simple issues to solve. But the people who are in power in DC right now, a lot of them in the Democratic Party are not trying to think of solutions or work with communities from a center of actually wanting to think bold, to think new, and to lead from a center of love. They are governed from a center of,
I don't want to rock the boat. We're gonna get some change, but let's not rock the boat. You know?
And how do I just keep my job, which means how do I please developers in this city because of the money in politics? And so none of us are bought by anyone. We are all like working class, just getting by kind of people. We are closer to communities that are directly impacted by these issues. And I'm excited to do the job of the Democratic State Committee, like Stuart was saying, which is actually engage regular folks in the process of decisions being made in this city, bringing those people to the table, letting them know when the next DC Democratic State Committee is, getting them aware and involved and excited to take leadership in this city. You know, there's a lot of leadership in the city that doesn't go recognized, and we keep getting the same boring establishment candidates, and not all of them. Shout out to Trayon White.
Yeah.
Shout out to Robert White.
Yes.
Shout out to Carl Racine.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm his new biggest fan.
who else I'm going to shout out today. But, you know.
I'm going to shout out Nikki Lewis.
Shout out Nikki Lewis. Shout out Molly Rulin.
Hey.
Shout out Stuart Anderson.
Hey,
And
you
Jay
know,
Mills.
Shout out Jay
Hey.
Mills, who's going to be maybe
Jamila
calling
Hogan.
in soon
Yeah, she
for
said
a
in-
metaphysical
She
moment.
said in 5 minutes, like 4 minutes ago. So get
Regina
ready.
Pixley.
Her name is
Troy
Jamila Hogan on the
Presswood.
ballot.
Yes,
You know,
all these people. I'm excited.
You know, we got some folk over in Ward 7. You know, Easter River is being hit really hard, and so we're working really, really hard to have this combined frontal front with Ward 7 and 8 working closely
That's
together on a
awesome.
lot of things. And so we're hoping that we get a strong core group of people out of Ward 7 to really be a part of what we're trying to bring it to bear. I'm constantly having meetings with people over in 7. Somebody told me, I won't even say who it was, right? Look, you need to stay out of 7. They ain't even live in 7 because they don't like what I'm trying to do in terms of my conversation with, man, just we got to be about the business of making sure that all of the 70-some thousand people in Ward 7, the 7-some thousand people in Ward 8 know what a state committee is and what a state committee should be doing. One of the other things that I had a conversation with somebody about today, we just was talking, no it wasn't, it was at a meeting yesterday where the subject came up. I was at the Congress Heights Civic Association's meeting, and someone asked a question about, you know, how do I go about getting the potholes in my street messed up? And everybody talked about, well, you know, we only get these complaints, and so not enough people are complaining, and so, you know, your request doesn't go to the priority list unless X number of people. So how many is the X number? Well, we don't actually know what triggers it, but these are their responses, not me. But the bottom line is that when you got a pothole, right, it damages your vehicle. And so the more potholes you have to navigate, the more damage to your vehicle. And when we look at this city, you know, and this is not to say that anybody's bad, it's just that the process has got to be changed with fixing these streets, you know. But the cat over here that's making $30,000, his car's got to go to the shop twice a year. And the cat over there, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and I'm a cyclist, so a pothole.
And so you got to need a rim. You need a new rim.
A new rim, you might need a whole new body, young. A pothole is death, because you got people that'll
Smoosh
ride
you through a
right
car,
next to you,
and you nervous and everything,
not even that,
and you can't get around the pothole.
You got a pothole in front of you, you got a car to the right of you, and a parked car to the right of you, and moving cars to the left of you, not giving you that space, and
What
you come
gonna
up
do?
on a pothole,
You're gonna take the parked car,
and you know what happens? You get hit, you get hurt, and that motherfucker keeps going.
Damn.
So a pothole is even bigger than just damage. It's life and death. Potholes will literally like crack your collarbone if you're just lucky.
All this money they getting off these cameras, man, our streets should be paved every day.
Yo, shout out to that guy that was destroying the cameras. Like, you are the real MVP. If you're watching this podcast somehow, fuck yeah, dude. If you ever run for anything, I'll vote for you like shit, man. I wish everybody destroyed those things. I wish I had enough balls to destroy speed cam. If I had a car, I'd probably be out there setting
running
them
into
on fire.
something.
The thing that's funny is y'all are talking about potholes. I thought you were actually like talking about like symbols of life. Because I was like, yeah, that's a good metaphor.
Life is one big road with lots of signs.
I was like, that's great. But I thought Stuart was about to roll us into a metaphysical moment. But then I was like, oh no, y'all are really talking about
like,
potholes.
I need them to fix the streets. When I ran in the special election a few years back, right, I literally convinced 4 or 5 guys up on Yuma Street to support me, merely because I said one of the things that I'm definitely going to try to do. I'm going to use everything in my power to get all these streets fixed.
Hey, man.
Well, I think we've got Jay Mills on the line with us to take us into a metaphysical moment. Jay Mills, are you with me?
Is that you, Jay Mills?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we can barely hear you.
Are you sure that's you?
Hold on, we got to adjust
Can you
it.
hear me now?
I hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Can the audience hear her?
Yeah, I think she needs to be turned up. Jay needs to say something, Jay.
Okay, saying something. Are you guys getting me in your ear?
Oh,
You
are you cooking some brand new flavor?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
R.I.P. Craig Mack
That's right.
passed today. I think of
I got it right that time.
Yes.
congestive heart failure,
Brand new
I believe.
flavor in your ear.
Here comes a brand new flavor in your ear.
Okay.
I'm telling you the new flavor in your ear. That's a brand new flavor in your ear. Shout out Craig Mack.
Yeah.
It was a classic, one of the illest hip hop beats of all time. You will be one of our ancestors now, looking down on us, helping guide us, recycling your energy, and hopefully coming back in a positive new seed. Jay Mills,
I say.
how you
Yo.
doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. I've been entertaining some families from overseas, yo. Shout out to international artists, my man Jabba. Shout out to Elevation B&B, a bed and breakfast for those who like to indulge in the finer things, you know, for the cannabis connoisseurs that like to travel to the nation's capital.
All
Their
right.
private residences that accommodate them. So, yeah, I guess that this is supposed to be a metaphysical moment, not a business shout out. But
Hey, no, we got to get that in too, so.
Yeah.
Not mad at that.
So, you've been watching the show? Hearing us get angry about DC politics and politicians?
I did catch the tail end of what we should be doing with the money that they're getting from all of the over-ticketing and over-policing.
You got to bring us back to a positive place of hope. You got to bring us back to the silver lining.
Save us, Jay Mills.
They keep on trying to find a silver lining in this pit.
No
I just
pressure.
don't understand it.
No pressure.
There's got to be hope. Otherwise, it's bleak and we would do nothing.
So
and we would just...
the silver lining is vote this slate in place and
That's
let's see
right.
what we do.
June 19th.
See if on June 19th we bring this new team in and we do a Ray Charles. Make it do what it do.
Oh, shit.
That's what's up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, as I was listening and kind of, you know, I love to meditate and give you all a fresh message of metaphysical meals. It just, what keeps resonating with me is the misuse of power and control that on the metaphysical tip ultimately comes from a misunderstanding of your knowledge of self, your self-identity. So as we get my snaps, I'll be in there snapping. I'll just dive into it.
Okay.
This metaphysical message is about what it truly means to be in total control and total power as it relates to being a human being, not a human was or human might or human will be, this extra verb, intense of be, that is given to us in this state, this body, in this realm, in this time. As a human being, we forget, we use the word supreme being, but we don't really say animal beings or plant beings. It's something relegated to something of a divine nature. And our misunderstanding of divinity and what it means to be in control, what it means to be in power, what it means to be in a position of authority is just a trickle-down effect that has led to us being where we are right now. We're in the information age where you cannot hide from the truth. And when we think of free will that has been given to us as human beings, for those that choose to believe in the higher power, knowing that this higher power has decided to give us free will, how can you think more of yourself than this higher power than to try and impose your will on another? That's not really what it means to be in power. That's not what it means to lead. True power is silent, and it gives without looking for acceptance. I don't think the sun cares whether we think it or not. It shines. Shine too much, people complain. Don't shine enough, people complain. People gonna complain. It is not for you to deal in their complaints when you are shining in your divinity, to be in control of yourself, to always think highly and to serve. We know that that's what it is to be a leader. It is to serve. In this world right now, in D.C., in D.C. government, in just national government, what we're seeing right now, again, dealing with the information age, like, are these the facts that we want to accept as true? That this is how people are to be led? Is this how people are to be treated? We're going to continue to let this continue? We're going to keep kicking people out of their homes, keep raising the price out so that you can't afford it? Nobody can afford it? Everybody want to kill themselves because this life is not sustainable? We're going to continue doing this or not? And ultimately, it goes back to knowledge of self, because nothing that I'm saying will make any kind of sense if you haven't come to that realization on your own, that to be powerful is not to be overbearing. It's not making a bunch of rules and looking for people to break them. And it's not about being punishing. You got to think about the kind of leader you want. Think about the parent that you want to be. We are all mothers and fathers. We are all children, sons and daughters. And if we can modify the way that we behave to this relationship, we can really rise to a higher place. See, love is understanding. Everybody has an asshole that they love. If this was not the person that you love, you would hate them. But you know them, and you understand why they are who they are, so what they do does not bother you. We got to come to that understanding. Know who they are and why they do what they do, so it does not bother you. Learn how to live in love and realize when there's something that is happening outside of yourself. It's just a look within. We're very quick to look without, but in realizing your divinity and realizing your control and not surrendering your control to someone else. The ego is very interesting. The ego is what separates you from the idea that you are one with the all. That's basically the truth in the whole body that your spirit wears on this trip around the earth. Around the sun. You are a timeless, eternal being that is part of the whole entire universe. You are literally made of star stuff, but I wants to be known individually. You got to come into your own understanding of what it is to be a collective being of the all and look to be that love, that omnipotent, the present, unchangeable love. Have the patience of a mother with a child who just pooped on them, peed on them, cried at them, threw up, and you still love. There's just nothing that they can do that can stop this love. You can make this whole child know them before they're made, and that child will still one day look at you and be like, no, I will not do what you said. You can threaten them. I brought you in this world. I'll take you out this world. And what they going to do? What does it mean to be a god?
Give you that look.
Vibrate higher. That's my metaphysical message.
Yeah.
Thank you, J. Mills.
That was a great metaphysical message. Thank you.
Everybody does have an asshole they love. You know what I'm saying?
You know, your metaphysical moment made me want to just shout out all the students who are organizing nonviolent direct action from a place of love. After so many of them, of us, our
what
family
they gonna
members.
do with all them shoes?
Leave them out there. Let Trump clean them up, yo. It's time to do
that.
something about this gun control. So, yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to there's some kids at Howard University going through some things right now. The media is not talking about it because the dean has not allowed the media to cover it or to get on campus, but they shut down the quad. Because of it flooded over winter break, and there's rats and mold and all kinds of roaches and all kinds of problems. And the quad is one of the major housing sources. And so a lot of students who have paid their deposit for housing are being told that they are not being guaranteed or offered housing, and they need to seek it outside campus.
Okay. As a bison, whoop whoop.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, wait.
No.
I'm not allowed to say it because I didn't go to Howard.
Let me say,
interject. Shout out to Howard. Word up.
You ain't got to
I
keep
will
saying
say
that either,
that
right?
She's proud.
Every so often, people don't have housing at Howard. It's an unfortunate truth that has happened historically. I'm pretty sure you can just talk to anybody who went to Howard, and it's part of the experience.
Well,
that is why the media participates in the hush-hush. Sometimes they put it out there. One time they put it out there. Like, oh, Howard students are staying in the Hampton Inn. Oh, man. It happens.
Well, they're
and
not
they don't
offering
put it out there
housing
because of the fact that, in this case, the issue was how cold it was, and an engineering person who I'm sure has paid for this with this job or whoever decided to, when they shut the campus down, they didn't properly shut off the water valves in these buildings. The pipes burst.
Yes.
well,
Normally, the dorms are open for international students and in limited use, but this time it wasn't. It got real cold, and no one hurts more than Howard. No one hurts more than Howard. These are beyond historical. Like when you were saying what you're saying, I interjected because the dorm that I stayed in, my great-grandmother walked through and talked about how it was when she was there, when she stayed in that dorm in 1933. So no one is trying to hide this. It is a very delicate situation that's quite heartbreaking, and the true solution is one that will take an incredible amount of time. So while people on the outside are always looking for reasons to paint how, like, they hate for no reason, why give them a reason?
Oh, well, these are students that came to me that were talking about it.
Yeah.
Not outsiders, so that's why I brought it up.
Nowadays refuse to learn their history and reach out. Reach out to your alma mater. Keep your family business with your family.
Well, I feel like that's a whole topic for another show, and we got to wrap it up. But we do need to have a show about the preservation of Black institutions, self-determination, and how we can preserve what has been built for us.
Indeed.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the fact that they're reaching out to the School of Engineering and Architecture to solve this problem, to keep and preserve the historical nature, while at the same time doing something about this horrible issue that befell the university in a terrible way. The water flooded and it froze. It was terrible.
It happened.
What you gonna do?
It happens.
Yeah.
This was a bitter winter in terms of the how cold it was. It was cold this winter. This winter was cold, and so a lot of that was going around, right? But I feel you on building up the prestige of Howard and keeping the legacy and stuff alive, and activating the alumni group and all of that.
You know, let's get some of them Howard kids on this show next time, and
For
next
sure.
time Jay Mills is here, you know, and let's talk about it more. But I want to
Oh,
thank.
yeah, I would love to.
That'd be
Next
great.
time, I'm calling them on their stuff, man. Shout out to Howard. Shout out to the Bison. Whoop, whoop, HU.
You know.
I'm not gonna say you know. I can say that though, because I got a daughter that went there, so I can say.
Oh, I always want to
But
say
I don't
that.
know. We fight
Anyway.
all the time, right? Because you know I'm UDC.
Straight up. Shout out
Not
to
the
UDC.
Institute. Like, nah. Shout out to,
What? Oh, you what? Okay, wait till I see you. We're gonna straighten that. We beefing that.
I wanna thank everyone for tuning in to another Fresh Live episode of the MNM Show. Thank you to One Love Massive down here in historic Shaw for hosting us. Shout out to Molly. Thank you, Nick and DJ Mike Phillips for
What?
being behind the camera, taking
What?
care of us. Follow our show on Facebook and Instagram at MNM Show One Love. Check out our show on YouTube and at live.onelovemassive.com. And we will see you next Tuesday with Sherry Wright of Before Harlem. Thank you, Stuart Anderson, for
Yes.
joining us this
Man,
time.
my
Excited to
pleasure.
run on the
Hey,
slate with you. Everybody
yes.
vote June 19th.
That's
Dump
it.
Trump, Dems for action.
That's what's
Yes.
happening.
Yes. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.